Let me warn you, what you are about to hear is not a horror story. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's something far more unsettling because it's real, and it happened right next to Saturn. For years, Saturn has been the quiet giant, elegant, distant, wrapped in golden rings that glow like a crown forged in the early years of creation. To astronomers, Saturn is beautiful. To storytellers, Saturn is majestic. But to NASA, Saturn has always been a mystery that politely refused to reveal itself. But then, one silent morning in the mission room, NASA's deep space recorders picked up something strange. Something near Saturn that should not exist. Something that changed everything scientists thought they knew about the solar system. It wasn't a signal, it wasn't an asteroid, and it wasn't a regular cosmic anomaly. So sit tight, because once you understand what NASA really recorded that day, it becomes impossible to look at the solar system the same way again. It began like any normal shift inside the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Cold air, strong coffee, people pretending they slept more than 3 hours. You know, classic NASA energy. A deep space monitoring array had just finished syncing with Cassini's archival antennas. Yes, Cassini, the spacecraft we said goodbye to back in 2017. But even after its final dive into Saturn's atmosphere, NASA still uses leftover transmissions and echo patterns to help calibrate modern equipment. So when the system flagged a distortion, nobody panicked.
Hey guys. Saturn's doing something weird again.
Saturn always does something weird. Then the second warning triggered. Then the third. Then the system categorized the detection as non-random, non-natural, repeatable. And the room went silent. NASA had accidentally recorded something. Something moving. Something responding from the direction of Saturn's rings. To most people, Saturn is just another gas giant. But to the solar system, Saturn is the quiet philosopher, the elegant elder, the planet that watches everything from afar without saying much. But that quietness, apparently, hides something else. The anomaly wasn't coming from Saturn itself, but from deep inside the Cassini division, the dark gap between the A and B rings. If the rings were a library, the Cassini division is the shelf nobody ever checks. Too empty, too quiet, and apparently, too mysterious. Whatever NASA recorded came from right there. But what exactly did they hear? NASA's recorders picked up a pattern, a rhythmic vibration, a pulse. Not like a heartbeat, more like something knocking. Tuk, tuk, tuk. Perfectly spaced, perfectly consistent, perfectly impossible. Natural phenomena don't knock. Moons don't knock. Particles don't knock. Gas waves don't knock. One scientist even joked, if Saturn's trying to reach customer service, this is not the right number. Everyone laughed until they slowed down the audio, because hidden behind the knocks was a faint harmonic tone, a structure, a pattern, almost like a voice learning how to speak.
Well, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I guess you heard it too.
Bro, what is that sound coming from behind you?
Listen, just because I look calm doesn't mean everything around me is calm.
Wait, so something's knocking in the dark ring gap behind you and you didn't think to tell anybody?
I haven't slept in 6 billion years, okay?
But behind all the cosmic humor, the truth remains. Something near Saturn was producing a signal that sounded alive. NASA decided to run the signal through triangulation algorithms. The results, they made no sense because the source wasn't stationary. It was moving. Slowly, smoothly, intentionally, right along the inner edge of the Cassini division. Think about that for a moment. Something the size of a mountain traveling through Saturn's rings without colliding with billions of ice particles traveling at insane speeds? Impossible. Unless it was navigating. And if it was navigating, then it was aware, or controlled, or both. NASA labeled it anomalous mobile structure, a polite way of saying, we have no idea what this is and we're scared to guess. Let me be honest with you. Space scientists are some of the calmest people on the planet. These are the same people who look at black holes and say, yes, let's get closer. But this shook them. Why? Because the object wasn't just moving. It was accelerating and decelerating, as if testing something. Like it was learning, or adapting, or watching. When NASA enhanced the visual echo data, they found hints of a geometric structure, straight edges, smooth surfaces, symmetry. Nature almost never builds perfect shapes. Humans do. Intelligence does. One scientist whispered, "This is the first artificial object we've ever found that wasn't built on Earth." But what was it doing inside Saturn's rings? Saturn's rings are not just pretty. They are ancient, older than human civilization, possibly older than complex life on Earth. And some theories suggest that they may not be natural at all. Their composition is too clean, too organized, like a structure that is constantly being maintained. So here's where the story becomes unsettling. Because when NASA ran thermal analysis on the anomaly, they discovered something that froze every scientist in the room. The object was not cold, not passive, not lifeless. It was generating heat, a lot of heat. Heat consistent with a power source, which means something inside Saturn's rings is active. NASA decided to test something small, harmless, simple. They sent a repeating radio ping towards Saturn's rings, a friendly hello, the cosmic equivalent of knocking on your neighbor's door to borrow sugar. The ping echoed through the ring particles, pounced through the division, and faded into deep space. Nothing happened for 6 minutes.
Then the object replied, not with human words, not with alien speech, but with a shifted version of NASA's own signal, almost like it was mirroring them, learning them, responding to their presence.
It heard us.
Or it always hears everything.
But jokes aside, what NASA found wasn't funny. For the first time in decades, NASA shut down parts of the Deep Space Recorder logs to the public. Not out of fear, but because what they found could rewrite everything about our place in the universe. What if the anomaly near Saturn isn't a threat? What if it's a guardian, a relic, a probe, a watcher that has been orbiting Saturn long before humans took their first breath?
What if it has been observing the solar system for millions of years, quietly hiding behind Saturn's rings? Think about it. Saturn is a perfect hiding place, bright enough to distract, beautiful enough to avoid suspicion, and massive enough to conceal anything inside its rings. NASA didn't just record a sound. They recorded presence. When NASA tracked the object's movement over time, they discovered something frightening. It wasn't orbiting like a random object. It was following a pattern, a path that kept perfect angular distance from Earth. In other words, it was avoiding us, maintaining distance, watching, but never approaching. Why? Fear? Curiosity? Protocol? or something else entirely? One senior scientist said privately, "It's intelligent. You don't act like that unless you know what you're doing." Just before the anomaly disappeared into the deeper shadows of the rings, it produced one final action. A large thermal spike, a short burst of energy, like a final message. NASA decoded the thermal pattern and found something spine-chilling. The energy pulse matched a frequency from Earth, not from spacecraft, not from satellites, but from our planet itself. A resonance identical to Earth's magnetic field hum. It was mimicking the sound of home. Why? That is the question haunting everyone. NASA cannot confirm anything, but behind closed doors there are three leading theories. First theory: an ancient probe from an unknown civilization, watching, recording, preserving knowledge. Second theory: a self-sustaining machine older than Saturn's rings themselves, a relic from a time when the solar system was young. Third theory: a sentient artificial structure, not alive, but aware. None of these explanations are comforting. All of them are possible. Humanity has always looked outward, terrified of being alone. But what if we were never alone? What if something has been out there, not trying to communicate, not trying to interfere, but simply watching, waiting, observing our evolution from the safety of Saturn's shadow?
If that's true, we were never the first to look up. We were not the pioneers. We were the latecomers. And the universe? It has been studying us long before we studied it. NASA recorded something near Saturn. Something ancient. Something intelligent. Something that does not belong to the planet, but has made Saturn its home. And whatever it is, it changed everything. The solar system is no longer a quiet, predictable neighborhood. It's alive, watched, observed. Interesting. And Saturn, the elegant giant with golden rings, may be hiding one of the greatest secrets of the universe. So the next time you look up at the night sky, remember, under those rings, behind those shadows, something is listening, something is learning, and something might finally be ready to speak.